Clash momentarily for class solidarity. Cash circulating, give the masses back its currency. Greed from elites, oligarchs stay fed. Deep state, fake fed, everybody break bread. Racism, homophobia, sexism, religion in this melting pot we live in. Time to build a new system, unionize labor rights. Highlight the issue, talking heads left is best. The saga continues. The Nomiki show. The Nomiki show. The Nomiki show. The Nomiki show.
Thank you.
Clash momentarily for class solidarity. Cash circulating, give the masses back its currency. Greed from elites, oligarchs stay fed. Deep state, fake fed, everybody break bread. Racism, homophobia, sexism, religion in this melting pot we live in. Time to build a new system, unionize labor rights. Highlight the issue, talking heads left is best. The saga continues. The Nomiki Show.
Well, hello, happy holidays. It is Tuesday, and that means it's TNS Live. Thank you all for joining us. We are here right now streaming on Rockfin and YouTube, as well as for our patrons. We're going to be moving over in a couple minutes over to Rockfin exclusively. Tuesdays are the days that we have deep conversations with some of our favorite people about topics that we hit on all the time, but we just go a little bit deeper. We just have a longer conversation about those topics. We're very excited today that we have Ryan Grimm. He is the DC Bureau Chief of The Intercept, also the host of Deconstructed, and the author of We've Got People. Did I get it all? And you're like filling in, you're doing some stuff at The Hill right now on Rising.
Filling in at Rising, yeah.
Rising,
Right.
which I've been on recently. Thanks for having me. It's been fun.
Yeah, pleasure to have you.
Got real morning show vibes, minus all the cooking and all that stuff.
It does. We should do that, though.
Oh my God. And the animals, remember when they used to bring the animals on?
Yes, we should do that, too.
I used to go on like Fox and Friends in the morning all the time. And it was the weirdest place because you'd like, in the corner, there'd be like Roger Stone, and then there'd be like an alligator. And then there'd be like cookies for everybody. And you're like, what is going on? I'd be like,
alligator eats all the cookies.
This is fun. You should do that. I will definitely come for those days. I'll bake for you. And I'm not a baker,
Excellent.
Which will be really funny.
So,
all right. So you've got this article in The Intercept right now titled, it's so clickbaity, Ryan. It is so clickbaity. It's called Joe Manchin for President. I think you guys also had an article in The Intercept. I can't remember if it was you or somebody else who wrote it, that Joe Manchin is king. Wasn't that you guys? Or am I mixing that up with another lefty publication?
We've done a lot of Joe Manchin coverage, so that's quite possible.
Yeah. So I guess the question is first, would Robert Caro approve of this message?
I mean, I think he would approve in the sense that, I mean, the point of the piece is that there is a massive gulf between the political skill and imagination of LBJ and Joe Manchin. And Caro, definitely thinks that LBJ is a once in several generations political talent, even if he doesn't like him personally and doesn't approve of a lot of what he did throughout his life. He does believe he's a unique political genius, and I'm sure that he would agree that Joe Manchin is not. So I think he would probably agree with that.
So the premise of this article is essentially that Manchin and LBJ had sort of similar paths, I guess, to power. Not entirely similar, but some overlaps, and that this is that moment where Manchin, if I guess the premise is if he wants to further on in his career in politics, he could come out looking like the hero and making, letting go of some industries that have brought him along the way, but really for the greater good, for the history books, possibly even for a presidential run in the future. And, I read it, and you made a very good case, and maybe Manchin will read this too, or some of his team will read it if they haven't already. Maybe you can update us on that. Great advice on power for Manchin, but I think the central point is like, does he really want that? And what is he operating on? Does he just get off on being this like kind of lever of power that sort of, when he turns on the spigot, everybody gets water. And when he turns it off, we're all, dying of thirst. Or is it, about the coal industry, or maybe somebody, frankly, it's politics. Maybe somebody has something on him. Like, I can't quite understand where he's going with this at this point.
Well, it's having a very small view of what's possible for him, his family, and I guess also for the country in a way. And he has his big coal business, but it's not a massive coal business. He's siphoning between him and his wife about $1 million a year off of it. That's puts him in the top couple percent of people in the country, but it doesn't put him into like Elon Musk territory. And so the basic premise of the piece was that, LBJ, and they have these unusual similarities, weird similarities. Like they both had kind of small-time politician fathers who were also small businessmen, and they were both in similar hill country-ish, in environments. One West Virginia, one West Texas, and LBJ came up as a arch segregationist, protege of Richard Russell and this hardcore white supremacist. And in the early 50s, when LBJ became majority leader, Democratic majority leader, he realized that he didn't want to go down with the segregationist ship. That if he wanted to transcend being a regional politician and rise to a national level, he had to flip. And so he became a champion of civil rights. And the Southern senators were openly apoplectic about what they called a betrayal. They said when he gave a speech where he said, "We shall overcome," I think it was Senator Talmadge said it made me sick, like physically sick to his stomach to hear this guy that they felt was one of theirs, that they had helped raise up to this position of power, and then he's going to use it to say, "We shall overcome," and he's going to pass the 1957 Civil Rights Act, 64, the 65 Voting Rights Act, Fair Housing, and on and on. How dare he? But LBJ saw that he had to change if he wanted to break out of being a regional stuck politician. Manchin, he can ride the coal train all the way into the ground if he wants.
Right.
Nobody's, and he probably, the irony is that LBJ probably could have easily won re-election to the Senate and stayed majority leader for the rest of his life, being kind of a segregation friendly New Dealer type, Democratic populist in Texas. Whereas Manchin, with his pro-business centrist Democrat position, is still probably going to get wiped out in 2024, just because of the type of polarization that we have now, unless he switches parties and somehow manages to fend off a right-wing Republican challenge. But he doesn't seem, to your point, he doesn't seem to see that the path that Manchin took of flipping on a key issue and going the other direction is his key out of the regional box that he's in and into the national level. That if he came back and said, "Look, this Build Back Better thing you're doing is a bunch of budgetary gimmicks and shell games. You want to fund these? You want to do a child tax credit? Do it for 10 years. You want to do the pre-K? Do it for 10 years. You want to do child care subsidies? Do it for 10 years. Don't do this bogus 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, but then have a 10-year revenue stream." So basically you're saying we're going to tax people for 10 years to pay for 1 year of this thing. Then, and his argument is, then what? What do you do for the second year? And that's a legitimate argument. Now, you could say back, well, it's modern monetary theory. We're a global hegemon. We don't need to pay for things. Those aren't the terms of the debate in Washington. So he could easily say, I want these all funded for 10 years. If you like these, fund them for 10 years and raise the corporate tax rates, which he has already said he's for, do the billionaires tax, which he has said he's for, raise individual rates on the highest earners, and just, if you're going to do it, and bring it back to 3.5 trillion, and do it and go hard on the climate stuff, because coal is the thing of the past. And while you're at it, take care of the coal miners, pensions. I don't care if they're 40, give them a pension. He could do all of that. And if he did, think about the presidential bench at this moment. Like who's gonna beat him at that point? Right. Like, even if, let's say Biden does run again, which seems extremely unlikely, 2028, there's no bench at all. Warren's too old, Bernie's too old, Kamala Harris has like 25% approval rating. Pete Buttigieg, it's a joke. Are you like, he's not president. I mean, Maybe we'll wind up with him as president one day in our lives, but not 20. Get out of here.
Yeah.
Javier Becerra,
No, people don't know who he is still. Ryan, we're gonna take a quick break because I do want to go back to the similarities and the differences between Manchin and of course LBJ, because I do think that there's something that is stark, that's a difference that might be maybe what has overtaken Joe Manchin's mind and seeing his potential. I can't believe we're having a conversation about Joe Manchin. If only you could see your true potential. Just go deep inside. Don't limit yourself so much for the greater good. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to move over to rockfin.com/Nomiki. If you're watching on YouTube, thanks for watching. Click subscribe and like if you can. And if you're a patron, always grateful. And if you're not a patron, this is the time, but also move over to rockfin.com/Nomiki. This is where we have the rest of our conversation, the exclusive conversation on TNS Live. Be back.
It's going to get really good.
Really good. See?
Yeah. Saved some real good stuff.
That's how I set it up. I like a little teaser and then it's like the good stuff. All right. See you in a second, guys.